The vision for Badger is to be a retail solutions company. We've been working very hard on our analytics platform with our artificial intelligence, AI, and our machine learning. So we're very proud of that. And we have new applications for security. We have new applications for disinfectant using the robots now. You know, with COVID and post-COVID, we know how important that is for the industry and for the communities. Woodmans is a 18-location Midwestern store, but what's unique about Woodmans is they're about 240,000 square feet of selling. So for them, it was a lot about product location and tag location, and they initially came to us to see if the robot can aid them in identifying and making sure the right price tags are in the right zones of the store.
Pricing compliance is a huge deal. That's the customer side of our business. We want you to see the price on the shelf and the price ring correctly at the register. Prior to having a robot in the store, the pricing coordinator would have to leave their department for a week every month to go out to the aisles and scan item by item just to price verify. The robot's now doing what we were doing every month for a week, every single day.
So having the ability to outsource the robot and use that as an augmentation for very tedious tasks lands up being a big value for the independent grocers because they have to find more creative ways to save. And they're finding that the robot is allowing them to cut costs in the right place, but more importantly, allow their associates to spend more interaction with the customers, which is improving the in-store experience. Woodmans also uses us for identifying any items that are out of stock. Woodmans is one of the first clients to use it to upgrade their mobile app that their consumers use to shop with.
The customer can now be in our store, look up an item, find its location within the grocery aisles. There's 24 aisles, there's about 30,000 products on just the grocery department shelves alone.
Another unique thing that Woodmans uses our product location for is that the robot will send the product location to the distribution center, so when they're replenishing, now Woodmans pre-pallets it to go exactly in the aisle where it should be.
Now we have this product location in a nice list. We provided it to our distribution warehouses who are starting to pick orders within our aisles. So now we're not reducing some of this breakdown time of the incoming product.
Through our analytic and AI platform, the robot can tell the stores by category, you know, what items are more frequently out of stock. So it's really giving them a lot of on-shelf data that they normally would have people looking for. The small independent grocery retailers typically don't have the IT infrastructure to do a lot of system things that the larger, you know, tier 1 grocers might be able to do. Just had a great time in collaboration and working on new projects together and testing new ideas.
Sky's the limit when it comes to the robot project right now. If we can develop it, we're going to develop it. Just to see if there's another available piece of information that we can compare to enhance another report, create another report, enhance another job down the line. We're willing and open to take any possibility with the robot at this point.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you happen to be. My name is Mike Graen, and we're back with another conversation on retail and the University of Arkansas supply chain organization, talking about on-shelf availability. And you saw a video just a few minutes ago, a little bit of a teaser. We actually have one of the guys who was in that video, Tyler Davis, who we'll be introducing here in a second. But that was a few years ago, and now he's a couple of years older and a couple of years wiser. He's got some interesting things that he wants to tell us about Woodmans, as well as the use of technology like Badger to drive alerting and on-shelf availability. So we've got Tyler here. We've also got Mark Shake. Mark Shake is with the Badger Corporation. Mark's been doing this for a long, long time. And is really an expert in the solution at retail that identifies what I'm going to call things that are out of the normal. So spills in the floor or out of stocks or pricing, et cetera. Some of the stuff that you saw in that video, you saw Tyler and be talking about. So before I get too far, let me start with Tyler. Why don't you just unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the audience for us?
I'm Tyler Davis. I work for Woodman's Food Markets. I am an IT pricing clerk here, and I support all of our pricing departments at the office level and at the store level. I am in charge of the robots and all the fun that we get to do with them. I also support some of our receiving and just our general pricing systems here at Woodman's.
Awesome. How long have you been with Woodmans, Tyler?
It was 18 years this year.
18 years. Did you start off in the store or did you always start in the home office?
I started at a store 18 years ago. I then transferred and opened 2 stores before I came to the office. I've been at the office for 8 years now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Put you on the spot a little bit. How has the experience working in a store, does that help rather than just starting in a home office? I would think it would be hugely helpful because you get to live the life and then you can come and build solutions for the folks of the work that you used to do. Is that true?
Absolutely. At the office, I tend to be a voice of something designed within the office on paper doesn't always play out in a real application. So I can kind of be like, well, this point and this point might need to be finessed a little bit more before we put it into live action at the store. I was able to bring a lot of just pain points from the store here, and we've been able to focus on and work on them. And as development of the robot has gone, I've been able to really take my experience at the store level and focus on what the robot can do to truly impact day-to-day life at the store.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The CEO of Walmart, a guy by the name of Doug McMillan, he used to say to me all the time, because I both worked in a store at Walmart and then worked in the corporate office. He goes, Mike, we don't have cash registers in the home office. We're here to support the stores. Let's just be really clear on what we're focusing on. Yeah, it was a pretty good line. That was very memorable. Mark Shake, tell us about your career path. I know you didn't start with Badger. You've been around for a while in the retail technology space. Tell us a little bit about Mark Shake.
Yeah, so thanks, Mike. Thank you, Tyler, for participating. So I've been with Badger, currently Vice President of Business Development with Badger. Work a lot with our partners in the market, like Woodmans. My background has really evolved in technology, really grew up in the technology and telecommunications industry, really at the enterprise level. And about 7-8 years ago, I had the opportunity was introduced to Badger, and they were looking for a business person, someone other than an engineer. So I had the opportunity to come on board and really get my feet wet and learn the business. Both robotics and most importantly, the retail space. So I've enjoyed the ride. I've spent more time in a grocery store than I ever imagined. So,
well, here we're going to ask you exactly every nut and bolt that's in that.
I don't know everything.
We talked to the wrong guy.
I don't know about that.
You're the practical guy. You're less about how it works internally. You're more about what it does for the customers, which is really what we're probably interested more in this conversation as well.
Right.
So Tyler, I'm going to kick it back to you. So tell us about Woodmans. If I've never heard of Woodmans before, tell us a little bit about Woodmans, the number of stores you got, what your stores look like, who your target customer, anything you want to tell us about Woodmans. Just give us a little bit of view. If people aren't in your area, the Chicago, kind of Wisconsin area, if they're on the West Coast, they probably never heard of you before. So give us a little bit of background on who Woodmans is.
Woodmans was founded in 1919 in a little produce stand in Janesville. We are now on our 4th generation of Woodman, as Clint has taken over and Phil is still around. He's out in the stores all the time, but Clint's kind of running the operations from the office now. And yeah, we've been around. We've got 20 stores opening. Well, we're opening our 20th next year, Racine, Wisconsin. And
how big are these stores? And are they primarily grocery, or do they have apparel and other things as well? Tell us a little bit about them.
They are about 230,000 square feet. They're quite large stores, primarily grocery. There is Haba, HBC, frozen dairy meat, very service orientated, low cost, low price, just trying to keep things down and keep the volume up. And yeah.
Wow. If I compare that to one of the biggest Walmart supercenters I know, it's 220,000 square foot. But that's grocery, health and beauty, apparel, electronics, automotive, service, all that kind, sporting goods, etc. 230,000 square foot supercenter, or I'm sorry, grocery store.
Yep.
I mean, if you need any grocery item ever, you should be able to buy it in the Woodmans, right? Is that what you're saying?
Hopefully, yeah. Variety is key. We have about 100,000 active UPCs on the floor at any given time in most of our stores. We have a couple smaller locations, a little older locations, but yeah, generally about 100,000. A
Okay.
little over 50,000 of those are picked up by the robots daily.
Nice.
So.
Awesome. Awesome. And tell us maybe a little bit about your customer base. Who is it people because they're coming from a location which is close to you? Is there a loyalty program? How do you maintain your constant growth with your customers?
We focus on offering the lowest prices and the most variety. So we generally, we prefer to cater to everybody, but we generally cater to families, come shop at Woodman's and stock up while you can. And we're located off of major interstates. Generally, we're spread out a little bit. You're not going to have multiple Woodman's locations in cities other than Madison, which is right by our corporate office.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So, Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you. You guys
Yeah.
are in Lexington, Kentucky. I don't think there's a Woodman's in Lexington, Kentucky, last time I checked. So, how did you and Woodman's decide, hey, we got some opportunities to do some business together? Tell us a little bit about Badger and how the initial discussions with Woodman's transpired.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit about Badger, our company. So Badger, we're right at a 7-year-old company, somewhat of a startup, but we are a product division of Jabil, which is a contract manufacturing company, a New York publicly traded company, New York Stock Exchange, publicly traded, do about $32 billion in revenue. So about 6.5 years ago, they acquired Badger as one of their first product offerings to really take to market themselves. As a result, within Badger, our primary focus is collecting actionable data within the retail space that leverages that data both for the retailer to improve on their operations. That could be in-store conditions around inventory and what's happening on the shelf, as well as also what's happening in the store as it relates to safety and cleanliness. So multiple use cases there with each different solution, but we leverage our retail solution suite, if you will, with leveraging that collection of the data with fully autonomous robots operating in the store. So it's been an exciting ride, very disruptive, and something that we're extremely excited about as this industry continues to unfold and the different, retailers as well as suppliers who are servicing, those specific, those industries, are ramping up and becoming more familiar with the solutions that are out there. With regards to Woodmans, I was very fortunate, had the opportunity to take the first robot up to Woodmans. When we deploy a robot into Woodmans or into any store, we walk the store and collect mapping data. That's what the robot utilizes for navigation purposes. But had the opportunity to go in and meet Tyler for the first time. I could tell you Tyler probably was not necessarily a fan of robotics. He was more skeptical than anything. I welcomed the challenge, but anyway, he was just fun to kind of engage with early on, only because he was skeptical and it kind of set a challenge for us. So, we went in there and really had the robot set up within, a couple of hours. We began scanning some shelves and then showing the data associated with that. So very quickly, Tyler had a lot of questions. And quickly over the course of the next few weeks, I think we brought him over to the other side.
Nice. Well, here's an easy segue transition. Tyler, do you remember the story in the first meeting that way, or did you see it a little bit differently than that? Tell us about that. Because here's what I'd say. You came from the stores. You're all about delivering value and everyday low prices. Why do I want to buy this big piece of equipment? It's just going to cost more money, and then we have to add cost to the system. But somehow you went from a skeptic to this is pretty cool. We need to do this. Tell your side of the story, and we'll see how well it matches with what Mark said.
No, Mark was absolutely right. Our corporate office shares a parking lot with one of our stores, and that was the store we were piloting the robot in. They didn't really share that was even happening. And then that day, somebody had said, there's a robot over at the store. And I was like, for what marketing gimmick are we playing today? And they were like, no, it's to do things and read the shelves and stuff. And then I really thought we were joking around. So the coworker and I ran over across the store to see it. And I kind of was like, nope, I've got questions right out the gate. We've got to discuss some things. This is nuts. And it's never going to work here. So I picked their brains and asked them all sorts of questions, what happens when the internet goes out? Does this thing just start running around, knocking things over, taking people out? Like, how much fun do we need to get a lasso involved? Like, what is going to happen? So I was just very skeptical. And then Clint, our CEO, he had known I was very skeptical about it. And he said, you don't seem to think this is really something that's going to apply to us. So why don't you run the project? If they can prove you wrong, then maybe we have something here. So that's how I got involved with the robots.
So the moral of the story, don't be skeptical or you'll get assigned the project.
Exactly. You just kind of
If you can convince Tyler this is a good idea, you've made the sale. So, well, let's be honest here. So you said, Mark, 6 to 7 years ago, 10 years, whatever. 10 years ago, we didn't have robots in stores. We had people, right? We had people. So Tyler, walk us through this transition. So Tyler's going, hey, I used to do this work in the store. Now you got a robot doing it. What exactly is the robot automating that, frankly, is probably better to be done by a robot than a person? Let's start out with Tyler. You started out as a skeptic. What are the things that you learned about what it could do and how it could help the store associates that you now became wow, we got to think about this?
Well, first off, the accuracy. I didn't really think that it was going to be an accurate product. I didn't think that we were going to see it, be able to read the shelves, and then be able to rely on that data as much as we are. So that was the first big thing. It's just the fact that it really did what they said it was going to do, and it wasn't one of those fun things that works for a while and then, really push that off to the side right now. So that was a big thing for me. And price verifying, when I could see that it was truly pointing out price errors on the shelf, was a really big push for me because I was a pricing coordinator at one of our stores and I had to stop what I was doing and go price verify about once a month. And it's boring. It's so boring. Our shelves are extremely long and that aisle is just overwhelming to start with and scanning every product. You stop paying attention. You skip sections. The robot was hitting all of it every day and just keeping up to date.
So we'll make sure I understand. For the 100,000 items you've got, your verifiers would literally take a device, scan the shelf label, say the point of sale says it's $4.20. The label says $4.20. That one matches. Go to the second one, right? That's what we're talking about. Literally scanning every single shelf.
Every item. Yes.
Oh, that sounds painful.
It really was. It really was.
Wow.
Now it's all collected and nicely put in a little basket to, here you go. This is what you need to take care of today.
That's awesome. People who may not understand, why is verifying prices important? Okay, so they're off by a little bit. What's the, I mean, I'm obviously being cynical because I know what the answer is going to be, but I think it'd be for a retailer perspective, why is pricing accuracy at the shelf very, very important?
Well, the customer experience first and foremost.
Yep.
But there are also state auditors that come in. Fines can be assessed if too many pricing errors are found. But I mean, primarily in first focus, always the customer. So just making sure that the accurate price is on their receipt, that they picked it up off the shelf is number one.
So picking up an item off the shelf that says $4, and when I get the register, it's $4.80, you could dissatisfy some company. Oh, there's a little bait and switch here. I picked it up here, but they're charging me more. I thought I didn't say that, huh? So, All right, Mark, over to you. So what else does this thing do? So walk us through kind of the beginning, because the first thing, I don't know that we even said it, walk us what a run would look like. And we've got this animated video we'll show behind the scenes, but we're talking about a robot that absolutely plugs into the wall by itself, charges itself, and at specified times undocks and does tasks in store. Walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you stated, the robot's fully autonomous. So if you can imagine just a wireless device within the retail space, so whether it's a wireless phone or whatever, it's just simply a wireless device. We just require an area, probably 3 by 3 foot by 3 foot, to park the robot in, typically on the main sales floor. and it plugs in, the charger plugs into a standard outlet. No infrastructure requirements whatsoever on the retailer's side. So we deploy the robot, and really within the robot, we have two primary solutions. The one solution running at Woodmans is referenced as Insight. That's giving visibility, collecting on-shelf data around out of stocks, incorrect products, and mispriced items. And then the second solution is really, that's called our Inspect, and that's where the robot can operate throughout the day when it's not scanning the shelf to physically inspect the floors. So from a retailer's perspective and providing duty of care for a clean, safe environment, the robot now provides a highly compliant store walk program that gives before and after images that risk management teams can reference in the event there's an incident in the store. So really, connection-wise, the robot operating the store is very simplistic. Nothing required, at least from an internet connection, other than an internet connection at the store level. And then depending on the retailer, we stand up, our solutions against their in-store operations, and make just for purposes of improving those operational, efficiencies around whether it's pricing and auditing or replenishment. Or even post analytics on the data. Why are these issues occurring in my store? And looking more down up the chain as it relates to supply chain. So again, numerous use cases across the board, depending on how the retailer is leveraging it. And to Tyler's point, right? I mean, retailers are faced with a lot of demands. They have a lot of product, a lot of suppliers, a lot of people in and out of their store. They have customers, they have people they have to manage. By leveraging these type of, 10 years ago, you would have looked at it as very disruptive. Almost now, I would envision retailers looking at it as this would be a must-have, because you're standing up programs that are offering greater compliance, as well as conducted more often, and you're collecting more usable data out of your store on a more timely basis, so you can make faster decisions that will help hopefully be a positive impact to the bottom line. So
awesome. Tyler, we double clicked on the pricing part of that. When we watched that video, a virtual video of the robot going down, it said pricing discrepancy, and I'm assuming that's the price at the register versus the price at the shelf. The two are different. Right? Yes. But also I saw some things that said out of stocks and incorrect products. Tell us the difference between those, and specifically, how did you check that before you had a robot versus how do you do it now that you have a robot?
So an out of stock it's an out of stock product. Before, the orders would walk up and down the shelf aisles looking for empty holes in the shelf, and then they'd scan and it'd be, yes, it's in stock, no, it's not, and they'd order their products. Now we can use the out of stocks created from the robot to glue into the lists at the warehouse of what is truly in stock at the warehouse and create lists of items that need to be ordered. We can also then take that list and compile it into days throughout the week, and we can use it as almost scorecards to be able to see, is the order consistently missing these areas? Are we missing items that are in stock at the warehouse, which is helping our warehouse partners be able to move their product through faster. And then wrong products are when the wrong product is stocked in front of a tag that it doesn't belong. So if chocolate's in front of vanilla, it's going to let us know that. During COVID, we would what we called landfill, where we would take product and fill it into out of stocks that we can't fulfill at that point in time to keep the shelves at least looking full. The robot was able to identify these items, and quickly we were able to fix it with the inventories from the warehouse based on the wrong product in the robot. We would say, oh, this is now valid product that we can order. Let's get the product we're using to fill the spot out and put the right product back in.
So prior to the bot, I understand the pricing thing. You scanned every label and you said wrong, it matches, etc. How did you do that for the out of stocks? Did you have to go and have them scan holes? And then how did you do the incorrect price or incorrect product?
The incorrect product a lot of time was just left until the incorrect product ran out and it was reordered because there was a hole. So it could take even though the warehouse then had its stock fulfilled, we might not actually see it on the sales floor for a long period of time afterwards if no one went through and physically saw, oh, that tag is not correct. It was this kind of a whole gap in procedure. There's no way with the sales floor that big.
Yeah. And actually, when you think about it, I mean, I've never quite thought about this before. Your scan, your shelf label, and your register could be completely 100% in sync. But if the wrong product's there, I think I'm buying this $2, but it's really priced at $4. It's not a pricing issue. It's somebody plugged it. We call it a plug or incorrect item. So what you're saying is this robot's basically going around autonomously and giving you a set of, hey, we just scanned aisles number 1, 2, and 4. Here are the 5 things that we got to go fix. We're saving the associate from having to go physically scan all this and collect all this data. Is that the big win?
There's so many big wins.
Okay.
Location data was honestly our probably biggest win. The location data allows us to organize the tags by location. So instead of having pricing hang 1,000 sale tags in a day, and they're all organized by UPC, which is spread out across 23 aisles in the grocery department, they can now print their tags by location, and they can start at one end of an aisle, go down one side, up the other side, down the next aisle. So that was huge labor saved. We do all of our own order picking for online order fulfillment that is picked up at the store. Those pick lists are organized by the location provided by the robot, which is a huge save in time and efficiency for our online fulfillment. Clint had taken the original robot locations and sent them back to one of our wholesalers and said, we would like it if these items could be put as close to location as possible to at least group together so we're not breaking down pallets as far as we have to. We can maybe run a pallet out to an aisle instead. So location is huge. Another big thing, just knowing it's there, if we have, 360,000-ish UPCs on file at Woodman. So if you tell me to run sales movement on a category, I can run sales movement on a category, but everything that's a 0, I can say, well, it doesn't sell, but is it on the floor? I don't know. In that past 6 months, now the robot can say, I've identified that tag. It exists on the shelf. The product has not sold in X amount of time. So that's another thing that we use a lot. Just knowing exactly what's there.
So I spent about 25 years with P&G, as you probably know. And one of the big things that the suppliers talk about is this thing called distribution void. And that basically means I'm supposed to have 20 cans or flavors of Pringles in the store. That's back when P&G owned Pringles. They sold it to Kellanova, and that's been sold again as of today, which is amazing. Poor Pringles. But anyway, Pringles, I'm supposed to have these 20 flavors of Pringles, but there's only 18 labels representing Pringles. Which are the 2 that should be there or not? Are you actually using the robot to go, these are the 100,000 items we should see in the store, and what is the robot seeing? Is there some that are missing? Because not only the product's not there, but the label's not there. Do we use it for that as well?
Absolutely. We send back every file collected by each store's robot independently to the office, and we combine them all together, and then we compare each store against that list and find all the missing items and identify. And a lot of our buyers have gone to auto shipping those items to the store to make sure that fulfillment is there. They pass it on to our wholesalers then, and they deploy their people if need be. Yep.
Wow. Huge. So here's a question. You were associate in the store. You came over and saw this robot, and you were a skeptic. You got assigned the project. What are the rest of your store employees' reaction to this? Was this a, man, this looks like it'd be helpful? Or when I've seen kind of stuff, the initial reaction is, they're trying to get rid of me, and they're trying to automate my job with a robot. What's some of the reaction?
At first, it was skeptical, kind of like I did. They weren't really sure what was going on. We're employee owned, so whenever the company does something, they always look at it like, oh, well, that could have been retirement money or somewhere, allocated somewhere else. Yeah. So everybody was very skeptical. The minute that they started utilizing the locations and seeing the accuracy, it has been overwhelmingly support for the robots. They love it. I can vouch for that. We just did a remodel on one of our stores, and the robot has been just taken a break and had the summer off for about the past 2, maybe 3 months. They have been chomping at the bit to get that robot back in action left and right. I get a text message or an email every day. When is it happening? When is the robot going to be back? When is he joining the team again? So yeah, it's
do they actually give it? Do they actually give them names? Like it's they do.
Names. We actually have the robot at the store that we share a parking lot with wrapped. Clint's dad is on the robot, Philbot. They have it named. Yep.
We finally found something for the owner to do.
Exactly. No, he's always good.
I love it. I love it. Mark, for other customers that we're dealing with outside of Woodman's, are you seeing similar skepticism by some of the store associates, or is it a short-term thing where you see some skepticism and then you go, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. That's awesome. Or are there some where they're like, they're going to get rid of my job? Because that's a real concern that people have.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point, right? I mean, this is a very disruptive, it's a different way of doing business for a retailer. And obviously, folks who have been in that retail space, whether it's a grocery or a hardware store, have been doing that probably for some time, especially some of the longer tenured folks, and they are skeptical. And that's really why one of my primary responsibilities is working with partners like Woodmans and Ahold and others here in the U.S. Around the change management and adoption, because this is not a sell a widget, walk away. This is really us, offering a solution, becoming a partner, embedding our solution within the architecture and infrastructure of the customer, the retailer, and how they, at the end of the day, are serving their customers. So we work with the retail teams on, participating in the stand-ups to ensure that, hey, the robot is not, gray. Folks with gray in their beard like me think they hear robot and they think, oh, it's taking my job. Well, most retailers today have a now hiring sign, right? So that's no longer the case. Robotics back in my day growing up is much different in manufacturing facility compared to a robot who's in store today collecting data. So it's really intended to offload those routine tasks from that team member working in the store, so they no longer have to do that type of work. So I think of those skeptics, you're going to win some over. You're always going to have some that are probably not going to be happy with it, but at the end of the day, our reception, the way the robot is perceived and received in the store has been very, very positive. It's really become a branding, and as the Philbot would attest, and as other retailers using our solutions have attested, it becomes a branding opportunity really for the marketing folks, and to leverage that with the future customers that are going to be walking in the store. Kids love robotics. They're not intimidated by technologies. Younger generations. So, but we're a part of that change with our retail partners and dealing with the change management and how it really can be customized to the individual retailer. But we're excited about the stuff Woodmans is doing. We love the Philbot. I think there's also opportunities. You could have Heinz ketchup bottles running around the store. You could have a PepsiCo bottle or whatever. So there's some opportunities there.
Gotcha.
Keeping it fun.
So that's the store side of that, and that's good. You also have some skeptics, but over time, it's like I didn't really. So it's like Tyler was saying, I didn't enjoy doing all that scanning by hand. I'd rather have a list of the exceptions. What about customers? Now, you said you guys both kind of mentioned the younger generation is probably more receptive to that. And I've literally seen a couple of videos where young children are trying to feed the robot, which is hilarious and adorable. But talk to us about the customers. And you've obviously got very, very young people, and you got very, very elderly people that are shopping in your stores. Tyler, what's their reaction? It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? Or how do they react to it?
Lots of questions. I think we got lucky by the fact that we deployed ours during COVID. A lot of people then just kind of assume they were shelf cleaning robots and they just kind of let it be. But now they see them still out there after COVID, and they do ask a lot of questions. They never really know what it is exactly. But once you stop and explain it to them, a lot of people are very impressed by the fact that it does all that it does. And they were like, I had no idea you could do things like that now. So it's really neat. You hear a lot of times ordering robot, they kind of just assume too that's safely, it's probably what it's doing.
Yeah.
But does so much more.
Yeah. I think one of the big things for right around those folks is when it's simple talking point for that Woodman's team member in the store answering that question, because it's normally not Mark in there, right? That's why we've got to work with the store teams. But when they're answering the question, the robot's here to ensure the right product's on the shelf at the right time at the right price, and as well as to make a clean, safe environment for the other piece of the solution, right? So, and I think they quickly understand why the robot is there.
Yeah, and Tyler, here's an interesting segue that I've never even thought of before. But forget about Woodman's for a second. If you go into any other grocery store and they don't have 100,000 items, maybe they have 50,000 items. If you went to the store manager and say, "Could you tell me within the last 2 hours what percentage of your 50,000 items are actually available for the customer to buy?" They wouldn't have a clue. I have no idea. They go to an in-stock report that shows them on hand versus sales, and they guess, we're probably about 92% on shelf. They don't know. They have no idea. You literally have a machine, very friendly machine, very tall machine, very quiet machine that literally is telling you within the last 2 hours, we can tell you that we have the 100,000 SKUs we have 99% in stock, on shelf, available for you. And we know the 1% we don't. Nobody else can do that. Nobody. There's no retailer that can do that, right?
Not without the assistance of a robot.
What they do, and this is interesting, and not to get on this topic, what they do is they use their online picking. And they said, well, our customers have ordered this. Our associates went to go pick those 10 items. They couldn't find 2 of them. So we're 80% on shelf. That's the only way they can do it, based upon the fact that they've got pickers picking the products. Well, you're letting your disappointed customers drive your replenishment, which is really not the good way of doing it, right? So credit to you, because you can answer the questions that people can't do. So let's talk about some of the future stuff. So on-shelf availability, pricing accuracy, certainly spill detection, all those are really good. A lot is going on in retail right now about retail shrink. Retail shrink is basically unaccounted for inventory, and everybody blames the people who are stealing power tools at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. And I'm sure that's part of it. But do you believe that, and I don't want any specific numbers, but do you believe that just having a physical robot in the store, automated going up in the aisle, will potentially deter potential theft in your stores?
Possibly. I mean, as you know, if they don't know what exactly the robot is, I can see that being something that they're not sure.
Do you think that do you think shrink is an opportunity for I mean, shrink in general is higher than it has been in most retailers. It's growing, right? I don't know about your stores, and again, I don't want any specific numbers, but most retailers are coming to me and saying it used to be somewhere between 1% to 2% of sales. Now it's creeping up to 3% to 4% for a lot of different reasons, right? Do you think the robot has a play in the identification of shrink, or do you think it's a use case that we need to have other technologies doing?
No, absolutely. We currently use it to help combat shrink in a couple different ways. I have had LP departments reach out to me and ask for the most up-to-date picture that the robot has gone through on that shelf to say, okay, there was product here at 10 a.m. this morning, and it looked like it was full in this image, but now it's all gone and there's no sales through the point of sale today. So that was that. We also use it, again, to know things are on the shelf. As we go through the shelves, we say, hey, we identified this tag. We look at this last sold date of that item. This item hasn't sold in a year. Is that even the right product behind it? Or did the UPC change and we just got a wrong tag? Or, hey, this product needs to be rotated. The dates need to be checked on it, verified. As we have now begun moving into the frozen and fresh departments with the robot and scanning indoors, we're going to start looking at dairy items that haven't sold in the last 2 weeks. Is there an out of stock? Okay, we don't care, but there was no out of stock and there was no wrong product on that, and the product hasn't sold in 2 weeks. Does that need to be reduced in sales now to help move it along before we have to take a total loss on that product, or reduce it even further than it needs to necessarily be? So we are going to start looking at all different ways to combat shrink with the robot, and just being able to know that truly exists, and it's not just another UPC that doesn't show sales on the computer.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge. Mark, I'm going to put this question on you. We're starting to see with grocery items, computer vision be that primary way to know if the product's on the shelf or not. A lot of the stuff that's in Woodmans, cereal, cans of soup, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of retailers out there who also are in the, what I'm going to call the apparel and general merchandise space, that are starting to use other sensor technologies like radio frequency identification to do that. Do you ever see a day where a potential robot could actually consume those RFID tags in addition to computer vision? Or is that even on your roadmap? Or other people doing that? Anything you want to comment there?
Yes, the answer would be yes. Clearly, we do have a roadmap for our solutions, and it really does, to your point, Mike, it's driven by being compatible with other sensor type technologies, as well as development of additional sensors within the existing solutions. So, there's ways to integrate our existing robots in with fixed cameras per se. There's also ways to leverage in the robot to really begin collection of RFID type, inventory when stores have the appropriate tagging in place with their products. So yes, we've got a very defined roadmap, some of which is made public, other is yet to be developed. But clearly, there's a vision for us and where we're going with this solution, tying into again, we've got a fully autonomous roaming computer that's leveraging AI and computer vision today. So it makes total sense for us to continue to leverage on that platform, if you will, this additional sensor type technologies. And RFID is clearly one that's at the forefront right now because of its renewed popularity, I should say, with retailers really beginning to adopt it.
Yeah, and not to divert us at all, but Tyler, one of the things you should be aware of is there are retailers out there that are actively looking for the implementation of RFID technology for food, specifically like bakery, to be able to, because the robot today, we talked about a lot of stuff the robot can do. One of the things the robot can't do is count. I can see the box of Pop-Tarts, but I can't read behind it. If you start putting RFID tags on things like bakery and other produce items, et cetera, that thing can actually count as well, which is extremely powerful. And with the RFID technology that's out there, you can actually embed the date that you bake that product. And so you can know that 3 days from now, that has to get marked down. And all that data collection could happen with potentially a robot. I'm not trying to oversell it, but Mark and I have been talking about the other use cases that I think retailers would take a look at. So in addition to that, we got a couple more minutes left. I want to give you guys a chance to share any closing comments. Obviously, this is really good for the Woodman's associates in stores because it helps automate their process. Are there other interested parties, things like suppliers or direct store delivery people? You mentioned the asset protection people that might be interested. What are some of the other users of this that potentially might be interested in this kind of data? Because I don't know, Mark, of anybody who's literally giving realogram information real time, or not real time, but close to real time, like this solution does. Is there other people out there that could be interested in taking advantage of this data as well?
For us, we use it at all levels of our business. The district managers can use the images collected, or we also run aisle totals. So everything that's scanned is counted by the robot. I can tell you how many items are in an aisle, how many items are in a section. So they look at that. Our buyers utilize the pictures a lot of times as scorecards for different department heads, as we're spread out across the entire state of Wisconsin and through a lot of northern Illinois. It takes a long time to drive to a store. So we do use it throughout the entire business, not just at the store level. But I think that there is something for other companies as the data is collected and ways to monetize some of that and utilize it across the industry to kind of help, maybe the brokers who are sending people out to the stores to say, is this product on shelf? Is this product not on shelf? Is it in the warehouse? The robot being able to provide the reporting would be useful, could be useful.
Yeah, to Tyler's
Okay.
I was just going to add to that, to Tyler's point. I mean, we are working with retailers today just to stand up really what we're referring to as a supplier success program, if you will. It's right, giving, obviously at the end of the day, suppliers supporting Woodmans want to move more of their products out of their stores. And I'm certain that Clint Woodman and Tyler want to move more of the products out of their stores. So why not get visibility and help this supplier become more successful by giving them visibility to this same data that the robot's collecting? And we've been able to start that program up with Woodman's team and their support, really with the testing of it for some time, but then we're in deployment of that now. So, and we've seen some legs with that with some other retailers. So really it's a retailer's program that they can stand up in partnership with Badger to make for a successful retail supplier relationship. So,
well, I would think a couple things. Number one, I've been on the supplier side of P&G and then the retailer side working with Walmart for a total of about 40 years, but I spent a couple of years with a company called CrossSMARK. They're a broker like an Acosta or an Advantage or folks like that. And we would literally send people to a store, and the first of the time in the store, if they did a 1-hour call for P&G in a store, the first 45 minutes we're taking pictures and doing surveys and collecting in-store conditions. Well, with this data, I would literally, before I walk into the store, know exactly I'm walking into. And I would certainly think, Tyler, with your direct store business, your direct store is the cheese and the milk and the Pepsi guys and all that kind of stuff, that knowing exactly what that store looked like before you ever get out of your truck would be enormously helpful, just as it is for your own associates, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. How much help do I need to divert to that store today? Are their reports looking better? Are they, maybe this side of town's a little busier than that side of town?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Huge
There's a lot
success.
of the information around labor that I don't even think has been completely explored yet.
Yeah. Well, let me kind of wrap this up. This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you, guys. And I really enjoy the opportunity to have a retailer and a solution provider sit together because you get both sides of it. And that's why I was kind of picking on you guys a little bit, making you say, well, what was your side of the story? Because there's always two sides to every story. Sometimes you hear these podcasts and it's just about a solution provider talking about their great stuff. And you just want to go, I wonder if their customer thinks it's as great as they are. I mean, this gives us an opportunity to say you had an opportunity, you had an ongoing business that was successful. You're spending a lot of time and labor doing things that, frankly, we should have technology doing, and you delivered it. So my closing question, and I'll start with you, Mark, and then I'll let Tyler, you kind of close us out. But what questions did I not ask you that I should have? Or in other words, is there a closing summary of something that we haven't talked about that you'd like to point out as we kind of shut down this discussion?
Great question. Mike, you did a good job of covering it all. First, I'd just like to, as I'm closing, just say thanks to Tyler and Clint Woodman and all, for agreeing to do this. And Mike, you and the conversations on the retail team for putting it together and inviting Badger to be a part of it with Woodman. So, I think really it's to, if I could close on any one thing, it's bringing the operations in multiple groups, different silos within a retail establishment together as they evaluate these type of technologies, because there's multiple use cases beyond just what that particular department might be interested in. Most often when an investment's made with a solution provider like this, you have to stand up an ROI in order to prove out that investment, right? So when doing so, you typically key on maybe 1, 2, 3 things at the most that we're going to drive that ROI. I would encourage retailers to open that up, right, as they evaluate different technologies, because there's greater uses for the data above and beyond what might just where they're focusing on today. And you've heard it firsthand from Tyler, the way their business, they took the information we were providing and then they leveraged it in different ways we never envisioned. I have other retailers doing the same thing. So that's what I would encourage more than anything, maybe as others may, if you listen to this and you're inspired to go out and give it a try, is to bring those other stakeholders to the table, whether it's operations, IT, marketing, merchandising, as you're evaluating these type of technologies.
No, that's great. Great advice. Great advice. Tyler, same question to you. Any questions I should have asked that I didn't, or any kind of closing comments that you'd like to share?
Kind of got to jump on the same bandwagon as Mark. Don't look at it as a cookie cutter solution. Think outside the box. Talk to your different levels of employment and say, where are pain points? What if the robot could do something for you? What would you like it to do? Ask that question. I ask that a lot, and they say, this is where I struggle, or this is a pain point, or somebody's always getting after me about this. It'd be nice if I could know. And a lot of times, if you really think about it, if the robot's not providing you the direct answer, taking what the robot's providing you and adding it to something else you already also know, you're going to have your answer. So just really dive in and see. Don't let any restrictions kind of around this project, let it go. Test it out, try it out, combine what you can.
And I think the fact that you came from the stores and had that store mentality and came in with this negative perception, this thing's just money, we don't want to do this, we're just a good grocery store that's trying to provide value, we're employee owned, all those kind of things. And then suddenly it's almost like handing somebody, after they've been doing long division forever, a calculator, go, oh man, this can do it for me. Yeah, I do like that. I don't want to go back to long division again. So the favorite question I ask to people in the store is really, really basic one. What are you spending your time on today that's important, but you'd rather not have to do it?
Exactly.
I like that question. Yeah.
It is a good question. It just as a sidebar, we did that when we were working on the RFID program at Walmart. We said, what are you doing today that it's a really important work, but you absolutely hate doing it? And their answer was real quick, which is doing inventory. I got to scan every item, and I got to count every item, and I got to update the on hands. I know it's important, but oh man, that takes forever, and it's so embarrassing. I'm in the middle of a whole stack of clothes, and a customer comes and asks me a question, which I want to be receptive to, but I go answer the question, I come back, oh crap, where was I? Right? You get into all that kind of stuff. So we implemented RFID technology, which means I just want it, and it counts everything for me. And after we did that for a while, I said, well, what else do you not like doing? Well, since you did that, hey, what I don't like, which you just referred to, which is I hate having to print pricing labels. I'll leave on a Tuesday night, come in on Wednesday, and I've got 500 price changes to do. I got to take these out and take the old ones out and put the new ones in. So in one store, we installed electronic shelf labels that literally automatically updated and gave the associates the ability to say, I'm stocking this item, and the light blinks and I put the product there. Now we're going, and you'll see these in Walmart. You're seeing a lot of their stores now have electronic shelf labels. So it's not about the tech. It's about asking the question, how are you spending your time? And while you know it's important, you'd rather not have to do this task because you'd rather spend more time working with customers and taking care of them and frankly, taking their money, right? So guys, thank you so much. This is a great success story. I am really, really excited about both sides of this thing. And I think, the sky's the limit. I think the robot will become more and more important part of it. When they start putting name badges on the robots and disguising the robots like our owner, et cetera, that tells you got something there. They feel like they're part of the family. And that's a really, really a good story to be. So guys, thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Yep.
And hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.